Sure.
Do ya?
Let's get a picture. Let's make sure this gets on the
And
So,
tonight.
questions.
No, that's why I will. Born in Oregon shirt.
No, that's okay. Rob wears the Pittsburgh and Dartmouth.
That's to set you off, though, on
He does, he does.
Two-a-day. Thoughts on how guys responded to the 2 workouts Monday for the first time?
They were good. You know, we got out this morning and got a lot of good work done. We have walkthroughs in the morning right now, but you can't have a ball, and it's really at a walk tempo. So we got some. We were out for an hour and a half this morning, and we were about for about I think an hour and 45 this afternoon. So we lightened the load a little bit in the afternoon, just because we were full tempo, full speed this morning. So the big thing is see how they recover. But tomorrow's the day off, so I think the first day of doubles occurred on a good day for us. But they were sharp this afternoon. So.
You guys got anything planned?
No, we have a church service here, and then they have a barbecue at their position coach's house tomorrow for the first Saturday. So we'll have a church service and then meetings, and then a barbecue at the position coach's house.
We've heard a lot about heat in a lot of different places around the conference. Do you guys have any issues with the temperature so far? Not bothering anybody?
No. It's one of the great parts. That's why all recruits should come here. It's a selling point. We got to use it as a selling point, right?
This is a hot week, though.
This is a hot week for Oregon. This isn't a hot week for everybody else out there. So if you're a kid from, like Braylon Addison or some of those kids we got from Texas, they think this is awesome. So it's a selling point for us at the university.
Coach, overall pace-wise, in the spring, one of the talking points was that pace was actually increased in spring of practice over other practices. Do you think you found ways to tweak even more pace out of practice?
Yeah, we
for this
have.
fall?
We're getting between 170, 180 reps in practice now. So we're doing some 2 huddle stuff, trying to maximize it, doing 2 teams at the same time, 2 7-on-7s at the same time. So we're getting a lot of reps right now, and I think it really helps our young guys instead of standing on the sideline and learning from other guys are really doing it. So we've increased our reps dramatically, and I think, it pays off because more people are involved in practice. So, that's one of our goals. We're always trying to tweak practice to see if it's more efficient, and it's worked so far. So
you'll run 2 offensive units?
We're running 2 offensive units at the same time again. So where I got 44 guys going at once now. So it's pretty helter-skelter. But, we kind of split our staff in half, do the same thing in 7-on-7 for just the first part of practice. The second part we're all together, but the first part we're splitting our offenses and we're splitting our defenses, and we're getting a ton, but we're still playing at the same tempo and pace, so we're getting a lot more reps than we've ever gotten.
Doesn't that give you twice as much film to have to look at,
yeah,
or get to look at, I should say?
But again, I've had some coaches say that, but all we do is sit in an air-conditioned room and watch it. So these are the guys that are actually doing it, so it's not that hard.
Chip, in comparison, how many reps were you getting a year ago at this time, or 2 years?
We used to get on a normal day like this, like 120, and now we're at like 180. So, we've increased it. It's not for the full practice, so we're not going to get to 240, but it's especially when you got a lot of young guys you got to get a look at. Sometimes it's tough to make an evaluation because you haven't seen them that much. I think every kid, when you watch them, there's not, as I told those kids when the first day we met, was there's not one kid that's going to be complaining about I don't get any reps. Everybody's playing and they're all getting involved, and the best part for us, everything we really teach, because of how we do things, everything's fast on the field, but we teach it off the film. So we get an opportunity in the meetings to really sit down and show them what they did. So it's been good. We'll back off as we get closer to game time, but we're going at a pretty good clip right now.
How does that translate into focus?
Yeah, they got to be focused because everybody's involved. There's not many subs, and if you're out for 4 plays and you're back in. So everybody's, in on a 4-play rotation. So the entire group, 104 guys we got out there, are all playing that, at some point in time. So.
Or now guys are showing they have the legs to handle that kind of
Yeah,
work.
they've been good, and I think we do it for the first part of practice, and then the last part we come back and still do a 11-on-11 instead of 22-on-22. So, but they've responded really well, and we'll keep monitoring it and see how long we can continue to do it. But it's been great teaching for us. So, and I think it's really helped us with our depth. So we've getting quality reps for guys, and that's a big question for us. Is I think in a lot of positions we know who our ones are, but how do we, how's that battle for number 2 going? And if we're not getting a ton of reps for those guys, it's difficult to make that evaluation. But we're not having that problem right now. So
More reps over means more conditioning, too, doesn't it?
yeah, but they were in shape to begin with. I think part of what Jimmy does with them in the summer allows us to practice at this tempo, and I think that's the one thing that I was encouraged when we did it on day 1. There was, there wasn't any, hey, we can't keep up with this. They've done a real good job with it. So it's just, I think it's we're trying to maximize our teaching opportunities because we still don't want to be on the field that long. A lot of people try to do the same thing, but they're practicing for 3 hours, and that's not what our deal is all about. So.
When do you start competition days?
We had a little one yesterday. but just for part of practice, because when we break off into 44, there's too many people running around, can't keep score. So I didn't figure out a way to score that. So we scored 3 periods yesterday, and the defense went 45-40. So we had what I call a mini competition day yesterday. But another thing, first day of pads, trying to spark the thing. And offensively, it was really close, but I think we had 4 drops and 2 illegal procedure penalties, and there's 6 points right there that, if they can clean up their self-inflicted wounds, they got a shot at winning it. So anytime we can put those guys in a competitive situation, we're going to try to do it.
So you have 104?
104 kids in camp.
So was that 29 walk-ons?
There's 85 on scholarship. Yeah.
Is there there's a limit?
There's 105 can come to camp.
Right. And after that, then you can add?
After school, you can go to whatever you want to go to. For us, we go by our locker room, what fits. So we probably add, I think we have 119 we can take. And that's after the first game, you can do that.
So
First
you
game.
don't have to wait till September, whatever.
No, you can go after the first game.
You added a young man the other day after.
Tikoi left, yeah.
Any thoughts on what that might mean to a guy to get added?
I think the tough thing, when we talk to our guys about it, is that it's when we sit down with our 105, it's pretty tough. We have to make some tough decisions. There are some kids that were with us in the spring that we couldn't invite back in fall. And I know you've been out there, you've seen it. We have tryout day, and we have 40, 50, 60 guys, and they're trying out for 8, 9 spots. If we have them, and there'll be a lot of kids. There'll be a few kids that would come back when school starts that have already been in the program. So I think it means a lot. And when we make those decisions, we kind of have a list that we go to. And local kid that we really liked, I know John Neal said he had seen him in camp a couple years ago, and really liked him. And we've had kids, that have come through that track. The Jennings Stewarts, the Justin Hoffmans and kids like that have proven that you can come in here, as a kid that was invited in the 105 a couple years ago and be a contributor on this football team. So.
I know you just sort of alluded to that. It's sort of universal thing from what walk-ons do in terms of value, whether they ever hit the field or not.
There's a ton of value. I mean, it allows us to practice the way we want to practice. If we always had to go ones versus ones, we wouldn't be able to run our offense. We've got to be able to have scouts, to run our offense against the scout defense, and then to run our scout offense against our defense. I think one of the reasons we're so successful, it's a great question because it's an underrated thing, is that the success of what those guys do, the Chad Delaney's, the Dana Banez's, the list goes on and on. Of kids that Will Murphy, kids who have ended up earning scholarships that, I'm just watching a few of them walk in here that have done an unbelievable job and that give us a great look, but provide for us enough depth that we can run a high up-tempo offense. You couldn't do it if you only had 50 guys in your team. It really is. I agree 100%. It's more important for us because of the tempo that we want to practice at. You can't do that. You'd have to slow it down. And I've been places where you got to go ones versus ones, and then it's 10 minutes offense, and then you turn around, then it's 10 minutes of defense, and you're running cards with your first group against your defense. We don't do that. When we split, when the season starts, we're going against our scouts. It gives us an opportunity, and those guys I'm looking at a few coming up. They're invaluable as they go through this thing. So.
Have you seen some obvious growth from the young secondary players who played last year, Mitchell?
Yeah,
Ethan,
there's a huge confidence factor in them. I think Efo probably was our best secondary guy coming out of the spring. Had a great spring and has really matured. And then you kind of forget. You're like, this is only his second camp. He's only a sophomore. Same thing with Terrence. Terrence is really playing at a high level right now. Troy Hill is doing the same thing. So guys that were question marks last year, I feel good about our secondary. John's back, Troy's back, Terrence is back, Efo's back. Feel real good about them. And then it's a matter of the great part about what we do defensively. Guys like Avery Patterson and Brian Jackson played a ton of football for us, but now with Eddie gone, they'll compete with Eric Darby to see who's going to be that other starter. But we play so much sub packages and things like that those guys have played a lot of valuable snaps. But I think all those guys have really grown up
Ideally, last year maybe you have Cliff and Gilden playing starting, but because things went wrong with some injuries and stuff with Cliff, now you have this luxury. You have these 3 young corners. Do you view that as luxury, having these 3 guys without coming from experience with 3 years left?
I don't know if I could say because the way it's always been around here, Aaron. My first year in 2009, I would say you came in and one thing you felt great about was our secondary, and then we lost. T.J. Ward went down for about 8 games in the first game against Boise State.